Your brother has 20 minutes before I decide what his hands are worth. The voice on the phone was cold, mechanical, and I knew with absolute certainty that the man on the other end meant every word. My pulse hammered in my throat as I gripped the steering wheel, running another red light as rain hammered against the windshield. Elliot. God, Elliot, what did you do? 15 minutes ago, I'd been closing up the diner where I'd worked the last 6 years. Exhausted, smelling like grease and burnt coffee, counting tips that would barely cover this week's groceries. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. And everything shattered. There's a warehouse on 5th and Langdon. Bring the briefcase. Come alone. If I see police, your brother's dental records will be the only way to identify him. Blick. I didn't have the briefcase. I didn't even know what briefcase he meant. But I knew exactly where Elliot was supposed to be tonight, studying at the library. And when I called him 17 times with no answer, my hands started shaking so hard I could barely grip the phone. The warehouse loomed ahead, a decaying skeleton of concrete and broken windows squatting between abandoned factories. This part of town didn't exist on tourist maps. People who came here either belonged or disappeared. I belonged to neither category, but I was here anyway. My car sputtered to a stop. The engine ticked in the sudden silence, competing with my heartbeat. Through the rain, I could see warm light spilling from a side entrance, and 2 men in dark coats standing guard. They watched my approach with the casual alertness of predators who knew exactly how dangerous they were. "I'm here for my brother," I said, hating how my voice shook. "I got a call." The taller one looked me up and down. His face revealed nothing. "You carrying?" "What?" "No, I don't have a gun. I work at a diner. I just need to see Elliot, please. He's only 17. Inside. 3rd floor. Elevators broken. Take the stairs." They parted like curtains, and I stepped into a nightmare. The warehouse interior was gutted but functional. Concrete floors, exposed pipes, the smell of oil and something metallic I didn't want to identify. My footsteps echoed as I climbed, each floor darker than the last. My mind raced through scenarios, each worse than the previous. Elliot expelled from school again. Elliot caught stealing. Elliot in trouble with someone who actually had the power to hurt him. But nothing prepared me for what I found on the 3rd floor. The space had been converted into something between an office and a throne room. Expensive furniture that looked obscene against the industrial decay. Low lighting from lamps that probably cost more than my annual salary. And men. At least 6 of them. All watching me with varying degrees of interest and hostility. But I only saw 2 people. Elliot sitting in a chair, hands zip-tied behind him, blood dried beneath his nose. His eyes went wide when he saw me. "Iris, no, you shouldn't have come. I told them you didn't know anything." "Quiet." The command came from the man standing behind my brother, and every person in the room fell silent, including me. He wasn't what I expected. Somehow that made it worse. The movies show you monsters with scars and gold teeth, men who advertise their violence. This man wore his danger differently. Tall, maybe early 30s, with dark hair and darker eyes that assessed me like I was a problem to be solved. Well-dressed but not flashy. Handsome in a way that felt dangerous to notice. Everything about him screamed control, from his precise posture to the way everyone in the room oriented toward him like satellites to a sun. "Iris Brennan." He said my name like he'd researched me, like he knew things I hadn't told him. "Where is it?" "I don't know what you're talking about." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "I don't know anything about a briefcase. Elliot didn't tell me anything. Whatever he did, I'll fix it." "Let me fix it. Please." Those dark eyes studied me. I felt stripped bare under that gaze. Every lie I'd ever told suddenly visible. "Your brother," he said softly, walking around Elliot's chair with measured steps, "broke into my car 3 hours ago. He took something that belongs to me. Something worth considerably more than either of your lives. I'll ask one more time. Where is the briefcase?" "I don't know." Desperation cracked my voice. "Elliot, where is it? What did you take?" My brother's face crumpled. At 17, he still looked so young when he cried. "I'm sorry, Iris. I'm so sorry. I thought it was just money. I thought I could pawn whatever was inside. I didn't know who he was." "Where?" "It." The man's voice never rose, but something in it made my blood run cold. "I sold it," Elliot choked out. "There was a guy at the pawn shop on Mercer Street. He gave me $200 for it. I didn't look inside, I swear, I just needed the money." The man held up one hand and Elliot went silent. Then he turned to one of the others. "Vincent, go to Mercer Street. Retrieve my property. Encourage the pawnbroker to be forthcoming about who else might have seen the contents." The man called Vincent nodded and disappeared down the stairs. The sound of his footsteps faded, leaving only the drum of rain against distant windows. "Now," the man said, turning his full attention to me, "we discuss payment. I'll pay you back." The words tumbled out frantically. "Whatever he took, whatever it's worth, I'll work double shifts, I'll get the money. You work at Rosie's Diner. You make $9 an hour plus tips. Your current bank balance is $432. You're 3 months behind on rent for a 1-bedroom apartment you share with your brother. Your mother is in hospice care across town, which costs money you don't have. You drive a car that should have died 5 years ago." He tilted his head slightly. "Tell me, Iris, how exactly do you plan to repay me?" The fact that he knew all of this, that he'd looked into my life with such precision, should have terrified me. Did terrify me. But I was also furious. "Then what do you want?" I demanded. "You want me to beg?" "Fine. I'm begging." Elliot made a mistake. He's a kid. A stupid, desperate kid who was trying to help pay for our mom's medical bills. Please don't hurt him. Hurt me instead. Take whatever you want from me, but let him go. Something flickered in those dark eyes. Not sympathy. Something else. Recognition, maybe. "Vincent will recover the briefcase," he said. "But your brother committed a crime against me. Against my organization. If I let that go unpunished, I look weak. If I look weak, I'm dead within a month, and so is everyone in this room. You understand?" I understood that this man lived in a world where mercy was currency he couldn't afford. But I didn't care. "So punish me instead." "Iris, no." Elliot started. "Shut up," I snapped at my brother, never breaking eye contact with the man who held our lives in his hands. "You've done enough." The corner of the man's mouth twitched. It might have been a smile on someone else. On him, it looked like the expression a shark makes before it strikes. "Interesting," he murmured. He walked closer to me, each step deliberate. I forced myself not to back away. "You'd trade yourself for him? Without even knowing the terms?" "Yes. You might not like what I require. I don't care." He stopped directly in front of me. Up close, I could see faint scars along his jawline, the kind you only get from something very sharp held very close. His eyes were even darker than I'd thought, almost black. And behind the coldness, behind the calculated control, I saw something that shocked me. Loneliness. It was there and gone in a heartbeat, but I'd seen it. This powerful, terrifying man was alone in a way that echoed in my own chest. "Here are my terms," he said quietly. "Your brother goes free. I'll even pay your mother's medical bills for the next 6 months. But you belong to me now. You'll live where I tell you. Work where I tell you. Go where I tell you. Your life is mine until I decide otherwise. No negotiations. No second chances. You run, your brother pays the price. You betray me, your brother pays the price. You make me regret this mercy. And I'll make you watch while your brother pays the price." The room felt like it was closing in. "What kind of work?" "Nothing you're imagining. I have enough people for that." His tone made it clear what he meant. "You'll assist me. Keep my schedule. Manage my properties. Prove you can be trusted with small things before I trust you with larger ones. For how long?" "As long as I decide." It was insane. Agreeing to this meant stepping into his world, a world of violence and crime and secrets that got people killed. It meant giving up my freedom, my life, everything I'd worked for. But when I looked at Elliot, tears streaming down his face, terrified and young and alive, I knew there was no choice at all. "Okay," I whispered. "Speak up." "Yes." I lifted my chin. "I agree to your terms." He studied me for a long moment. Then he turned to one of the other men. "Cut the boy loose. Drive him home. Make sure he understands that if he speaks to anyone about tonight, his sister's employment will be terminated, along with her." The man moved to free Elliot. My brother started sobbing, trying to reach for me. "Iris, no, don't do this, I'll figure something else out." "Elliot, listen to me." I gripped his shoulders as soon as his hands were free. "Go home. Keep your mouth shut. Check on Mom tomorrow. And for the love of God, stop trying to be the hero. You're 17. Act like it." "I'm sorry," he choked out. "I'm so sorry." "I know. Now go." They led him away. I watched until he disappeared down the stairwell, listening to his footsteps fade. Then it was just me and the men who remained. Him. "What's your name?" "Yes." Those dark eyes fixed on me with something that might have been surprise. "You don't know who I am." "Should I?" Another almost smile. "Lucian Thorne." The name meant nothing to me. My confusion must have shown, because one of the other men laughed. "She really doesn't know, boss. That's priceless." Lucian ignored him. "You'll learn. Vincent will take you to your new accommodations when he returns. In the meantime, sit down. We're going to discuss the rules." "I'd rather stand." "That wasn't a request." "Hey there, my wonderful friend. How's your day going? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this story so far. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. This is just the beginning of Iris's journey, and trust me, nothing is what it seems." Lucian pulled up a chair and sat across from me, close enough that I could see gold flecks in his dark eyes. "Rule 1. You speak to no one about my business. Not friends, not family, not a priest in a confessional. What you see, what you hear dies in your throat. Understand?" "Yes." "Rule 2. You go nowhere without my permission or an escort from my people. Your freedom is forfeit. Accept it now, or this becomes much harder." My jaw clenched. "Understood." Rule 3. Loyalty. The moment I suspect you're working against me, the deal is void. I don't give second warnings. You've made that clear. "Have I?" He leaned forward slightly. "Because you're looking at me like you're planning something. Like you think you'll find a way out of this. Let me save you the trouble. There is no way out. The only direction from here is deeper in. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be." "Easier for who?" "Both of us." We stared at each other. The air felt electric, charged with something I didn't want to name. This man had just bought my life. He could destroy everything I loved with a single word. I should have been plotting escape, planning rebellion. Instead, I found myself wondering what had happened to put those scars on his jaw. What had carved the loneliness into his eyes? God help me, I was already in trouble. Vincent returned 20 minutes later with the briefcase. Lucian opened it, scanned the contents, and nodded with satisfaction. "Good. Make sure the pawnbroker understands the value of discretion." "Already done, boss." Lucian closed the briefcase and stood. "Take Miss Brennan to the East property. Make sure she has everything she needs. I'll see her tomorrow morning. 8 o'clock sharp." "Wait," I said, standing too quickly. "Where am I going? When can I see Elliot? What happens tomorrow?" Lucian looked at me with those unreadable dark eyes. "Now you're mine," he said simply. "Get used to it." Then he walked away, leaving me with Vincent and the terrifying reality of what I'd just agreed to. My life as I knew it was over. And somehow, looking at Lucian Thorne's retreating figure, I wondered if that scared me as much as it should. The East property turned out to be a renovated brownstone in a neighborhood I'd only driven through in daylight, when it was safe to admire the tree-lined streets and elegant architecture. At night, it felt like stepping into someone else's life. Someone with money. Someone who mattered. Vincent led me up the front steps without a word. He was older than Lucian, maybe mid-40s, with graying temples and the weathered face of someone who'd seen things he couldn't forget. He hadn't spoken to me once during the drive. Inside, the house was beautiful in an impersonal way. Clean lines, modern furniture, everything perfectly placed like a showroom. It felt empty despite being fully furnished. "Second floor, first door on the left is yours," Vincent said, his first words to me. "Kitchen's stocked. Don't answer the door. Don't open the curtains. Someone will be outside at all times. For your protection. Or to make sure I don't run." He looked at me, then really looked at me. "Miss Brennan, if you're smart, you'll understand those are the same thing. Get some sleep. Tomorrow starts early." Then he left and I was alone. I climbed the stairs on shaking legs. Adrenaline was wearing off, replaced by the crushing reality of what had just happened. I'd sold myself to a criminal. A man whose last name I'd learned 10 minutes ago. A man who knew everything about me while I knew nothing about him. The bedroom was nicer than anywhere I'd ever lived. A real bed with an actual headboard, not the mattress on the floor I shared with my apartment. A connected bathroom with water pressure that didn't sputter. Clean towels that matched. I sat on the edge of the bed and waited to cry. Nothing came. I was too numb. Too exhausted. Too aware that crying was a luxury I couldn't afford anymore. Instead, I set an alarm for 7, lay down fully clothed, and fell into dreamless sleep. The alarm felt like it rang 2 minutes later. Gray morning light filtered through curtains I hadn't closed. My body ached from sleeping in yesterday's clothes, and my mouth tasted like fear and old coffee. I showered because I didn't know what else to do. Found my diner uniform crumpled on the bathroom floor and realized with dull shock that I'd never gone back for my car. Never called my manager. Never grabbed clothes or my toothbrush or anything from the life I'd left behind. A knock on the bedroom door made me jump. "Miss Brennan. I'm coming in." A woman entered before I could respond. She was young, maybe my age, with sharp features and sharper eyes. She carried a garment bag and a coffee cup, both of which she set on the bed with efficient movements. "I'm Hazel," she said. "Hazel Willoughby. I manage Mr. Thorne's household staff. You'll report to me on domestic matters, to him on everything else. This is your coffee. 2 sugars, no cream, based on your diner order history. The clothes should fit. You're expected downstairs in 20 minutes. She turned to leave. "Wait," I said. "How do you know how I take my coffee?" Hazel paused at the door, her expression somewhere between pity and amusement. "Mr. Thorne doesn't do anything halfway. When he decides someone matters, he learns everything. 20 minutes, Miss Brennan. Don't be late." The clothes fit perfectly. Tailored black pants, a silk blouse in deep blue, shoes that were comfortable and expensive. I looked like someone who belonged in this house. The disguise felt dangerous. Downstairs, I followed voices to a dining room where Lucian sat reading something on a tablet, a cup of coffee steaming beside him. He'd changed since last night. Different clothes, same dangerous composure. He looked up when I entered. "Sit." I sat across from him at a table large enough for 8. Hazel appeared instantly with a plate of breakfast that smelled incredible. My stomach growled traitorously. "Eat," Lucian said. "We have a long day." "Doing what?" "I'll explain while you eat. You're going to need your strength." I picked up a fork, watching him carefully. In daylight, he was somehow more intimidating. The scars on his jaw were clearer. So were the dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept. "Your official position is executive assistant," he said without preamble. "You'll maintain my calendar, handle correspondence, manage property schedules. The work is real. I expect competence. I've never done anything like that. You managed a diner's entire inventory system, optimized their supply chain to reduce waste by 30%, and created a scheduling system that reduced overtime costs. Don't pretend you're not capable." I stared at him. "How do you know that?" "I told you. I don't do anything halfway." He took a sip of coffee. "Your actual job is simpler. Be visible. Be loyal. Be mine. I have enemies who will see you as a weakness. I have allies who will test whether you can be corrupted. You'll be watched constantly. Judged constantly. One mistake could get us both killed. The eggs turned to ash in my mouth. Then why take the risk? Why not just let Vincent get the briefcase and forget about me and Elliot? Something flickered across his face. Because your brother made me look vulnerable. Someone stole from me and lived. That story spreads, I'm finished. But if I turn it into a demonstration of power, of control, I send a different message. That you own people. That I reward loyalty and punish betrayal. Your brother walks free because you sacrificed yourself. That's a story people understand. It makes me look merciful and dangerous at the same time. He set down his coffee. And it's useful to have someone close to me who didn't choose this life. Someone who has something to lose. It makes you predictable. Sounds like you've got it all figured out. I usually do. The arrogance should have made me hate him. Instead, I found myself studying the way his fingers drummed once against the table. A tiny crack in his controlled facade. He was nervous about something. What was in the briefcase? Yes. Nothing you need to know about. If I'm risking my life for this, I deserve to know what Elliot stole. His eyes met mine. For a long moment, neither of us looked away. Documents, he said finally. Proof of certain arrangements between people who can't afford for those arrangements to become public. The kind of information that starts wars. Your brother got very lucky that he sold it to someone too stupid to recognize what he had. And you got it back. I always get back what's mine. The way he said it made me shiver. We spent the morning in what Lucian called his office, a room lined with books I suspected he'd actually read. He walked me through schedules, contacts, properties. The scope of his organization became clear through careful omission. He never said what he actually did, but I could read between the lines. Real estate holdings that were probably fronts. Import-export businesses that definitely were. Restaurants and nightclubs and a dozen other legitimate operations sheltering something darker underneath. You're quiet, he observed around noon. Questions. How long have you been doing this? Vague question. How long have you run this organization? For years. I inherited it from my father when I was 28. His voice went flat. Inheriting wasn't voluntary. What happened? He was killed by someone he trusted. I learned a valuable lesson about the price of misplaced faith. Lucian closed the laptop he'd been working on. Which is why you should understand something, Iris. I don't trust you. I won't trust you. Trust is how people like me die. But I can use you and you can survive this. Those are the terms. Sounds lonely. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Lucian's expression went very still. Loneliness is safer than betrayal. Is it though? You've been here 12 hours and you think you understand my life? I understand what it's like to be alone even when you're surrounded by people, I said quietly. I understand what it's like to be responsible for everything and trust no one. I've been raising Elliot since I was 19. Our dad left, our mom got sick, and suddenly every decision was life or death. Every mistake could cost us everything. So yeah, maybe I understand more than you think. Lucian stared at me like I'd revealed something he hadn't expected. The silence stretched between us, heavy with things neither of us wanted to say. You're not what I expected, he said finally. Neither are you. Is that good or bad? I don't know yet. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Honest. That's either refreshing or dangerous. With you, I'm guessing everything is dangerous. Smart girl. Phone buzzed. Lucian checked it, and his expression went cold. We have a problem. Come with me. He moved fast, out of the office and down a hallway I hadn't seen before. I followed, my heart rate picking up. We descended stairs into what looked like a wine cellar, except half the wine racks swung open to reveal a door. Behind the door was a room full of monitors showing security feeds from a dozen locations. Two men sat at the controls. One of them turned when we entered. Boss, we've got movement at the Riverside warehouse. 3 cars, unfamiliar. They're watching the building. Lucian studied the screens. Who? Best guess. Dante's crew. They're getting bold. Or they heard something they shouldn't have. Lucian's jaw tightened. How long have they been there? 20 minutes. Just watching so far. Double the guard. I want eyes on every entrance. If they make a move, I want to know before they finish the thought. He turned to leave, then paused. And find out who talked. Someone told them to look at that location. I want to know who by tonight. We climbed back upstairs. Lucian's controlled mask was firmly back in place, but I'd seen the flash of anger underneath. Who's Dante? Asked. A rival. Ambitious, reckless, and currently testing boundaries he shouldn't. Lucian stopped at the top of the stairs. This is what you need to understand, Iris. This world doesn't have room for mistakes. Someone talks, people die. Someone gets careless, people die. You think last night was frightening. That was nothing. The real danger is slower. It's the knife you don't see coming because you trusted the wrong smile. Are you trying to scare me? I'm trying to keep you alive. He ran a hand through his dark hair, a gesture of frustration that felt jarringly human. You walked into this because you love your brother. I respect that. But love makes you vulnerable, and vulnerability gets exploited. You need to learn how to be hard. I've been hard for 8 years. It's called survival. That was playing at hard. This is different. He stepped closer. Can you look someone in the eye and lie without flinching? Can you smile at someone who wants you dead? Can you make choices that save you at the cost of someone else? Can you? Every single day. We stood inches apart. I could see my reflection in his dark eyes. Could smell something faint and expensive, cologne or soap. Could feel the heat radiating off him despite the coldness in his voice. I don't want to become like you, I whispered. Then you won't survive. Maybe survival isn't worth the cost. Something in his expression cracked, just for a second. Pain raw and quickly hidden. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? You said it yourself. You don't trust anyone. You're surrounded by people but completely alone. You've traded everything human for power and safety. And you're still scared someone's going to kill you. That's not surviving, Lucian. That's just dying slowly. His hand shot out and gripped my wrist. Not painfully but firmly. His eyes blazed with something between fury and something else entirely. You don't get to judge me, he said, voice low and dangerous. You don't know what I've sacrificed. What I've done to keep this organization from tearing itself apart. What I've lost. Then tell me. Why? So you can pity me. So you can think you understand. So I can know who owns me. The words hung in the air. His grip on my wrist loosened but didn't release. I could feel his pulse against my skin, or maybe it was mine. Too fast. Too intense. I was 28, he said quietly. My father called me home from graduate school. Said it was important. When I arrived, he was already dead. Poisoned by his second-in-command. A man he'd trusted for 20 years. A man I'd called uncle. The organization was in chaos. Half wanted to scatter, half wanted to follow the traitor. Had a choice. Walk away and let it all burn, or step into my father's place and hold it together. Why didn't you walk away? Because 100 people depended on my father for their livelihoods. Because walking away would have started a war that would have killed dozens more. Because I was young and stupid and thought I could do it better. Thought I could make it clean. He laughed, bitter. 4 years later, I've kept it together. Kept people employed, kept the peace. And I've become exactly what my father was. Exactly what I swore I wouldn't be. The vulnerability in his voice cut through me like a blade. This was the loneliness I'd seen in his eyes. Not the loneliness of being alone, but of being trapped in a role that consumed everything human about you. You're not what your father was, I said softly. You let Elliot go. You could have killed him, sent a message. Instead, you found another way. I still took you hostage. You gave me a choice. It was a terrible choice, but it was still mine. Took a breath. I'm not saying you're a good man, Lucian. I don't know enough to judge that. But you're not just a monster either. And maybe that's what scares you most. He stared at me like I'd spoken a language he'd forgotten he understood. His grip on my wrist finally released, but he didn't step back. You're dangerous, he murmured. Because I'm not afraid of you. Because you should be afraid of me. And somehow that doesn't seem to matter. Before I could respond, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Vincent appeared, his expression tight. Boss, we need you. Dante's people just left, but they took photos. They're mapping the building. Lucian's mask slammed back into place. The vulnerable man disappeared, replaced by the cold strategist. Gather the senior crew. We meet in an hour. He glanced at me. Hazel will take you back to the house. Stay there. Don't go near the windows. What are you going to do? Remind Dante why testing me is a bad idea. He turned to follow Vincent, then paused. And Iris. What we just discussed stays between us. You're learning the first rule. Some secrets are worth keeping. Then he was gone, leaving me standing in the hallway with my wrist still tingling where he'd held it. Hazel appeared as if summoned. Come on, Miss Brennan. Time to go. In the car, I watched the city pass by and tried to process everything that had happened. 24 hours ago, I'd been wiping down tables and worrying about rent. Now I was caught in the middle of some criminal power struggle, bound to a man who was equal parts terrifying and tragically human. Can I ask you something? I said to Hazel. She kept her eyes on the road. Depends on the question. How long have you worked for him? 3 years. Is he always like this? Like what? Controlled. Cold. Like he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Hazel was quiet for a long moment. Mr. Thorne is the most brilliant, driven, ruthless man I've ever met. He's also the loneliest. He carries that entire organization on his shoulders and never lets anyone see the weight. So yes, he's always controlled. Because the moment he's not, everything falls apart. Do you trust him? With my life. Why? She pulled up to the brownstone. Because 2 years ago, my ex-husband found out where I was working. Showed up drunk, violent, making threats. Mr. Thorne didn't have him killed. Didn't have him beaten. He had him arrested on outstanding warrants I didn't even know existed, then made sure he went to a facility that would actually help him get clean. That's who Lucian Thorne is when you're loyal to him. He protects his people. And when you're not loyal. Hazel's expression went cold. Then God help you because no one else will. I went inside, mind racing. Everything I learned about Lucian seemed to contradict itself. Ruthless but merciful. Cold but protective. Isolated but somehow inspiring absolute loyalty. Who was he really? And why did I care so much about finding out? I spent the afternoon learning the house, reading through files Hazel had left me about Lucian's various properties and businesses. The legitimate ones, anyway. It was busy work, but it kept my mind occupied. Until my phone rang. Unknown number. My heart stopped. Hello. Iris Brennan. A woman's voice, smooth and dangerous. You don't know me, but I know you. I know you're living in Lucian Thorne's house. I know you're sleeping in his bed. I'm not. Let me finish. I also know about your mother. Beautiful woman, even in hospice. Be a shame if something happened to her. If her medications got mixed up. If she had an unfortunate accident. Terror flooded through me. Who is this? A friend with advice. Whatever Lucian's told you, whatever promises he's made, he's lying. He uses people until they're empty, then discards them. Get out now while you still can. Or I'll make sure your mother pays the price for your stupidity. The line went dead. I sat frozen, the phone shaking in my hand. Someone knew where I was. Knew about my mother. And had just threatened the only family I had left besides Elliot. I should have called Lucian immediately. That was the smart play, the loyal play. But the voice on the phone had known things. personal things. And she'd called Lucian a liar. What if she was right? What if I'd traded my freedom to a man who would destroy me anyway? For the first time since agreeing to this insane arrangement, I realized I might have made a terrible, fatal mistake. And I had no idea who to trust. I stared at the phone for exactly 30 seconds before I made my decision. I called Lucian. He answered on the first ring. What's wrong? Not hello. Not a question about why I was calling. He knew immediately that something was wrong. That kind of awareness should have comforted me. Instead, it reminded me how little privacy I had left. Someone just called me. Woman. She knew about you, about this house, about my mother. She threatened her. Silence. Then, what exactly did she say? I repeated the conversation word for word. My hands were still shaking. Stay where you are. Don't answer the door for anyone except Hazel or Vincent. I'm sending additional security to your mother's facility right now. His voice was pure ice. Did you recognize the voice? No. Did she give you any indication of who she represents? She said you're a liar. That you use people and discard them. Took a breath. Is she right? Another pause. Longer this time. We'll discuss that when I get there. 20 minutes. Don't leave that house, Iris. He hung up. I went to the window, careful to stay behind the curtain like Vincent had instructed. Outside, a black car was already parked across the street. As I watched, another pulled up. Men emerged, scanning the area with professional efficiency. Lucian had mobilized his entire security apparatus in the time it took me to walk across a room. Either he was protecting his investment or he actually cared. I didn't know which possibility scared me more. True to his word, Lucian arrived in 18 minutes. I heard him before I saw him. His voice sharp as he gave orders to someone downstairs. Then footsteps on the stairs, and he appeared in the doorway of the sitting room where I'd been pacing. He looked different. Not just angry but dangerous in a way I hadn't seen before. This was the man who'd built an empire on fear and control. This was the man people whispered about. Your mother has 6 guards on her floor, he said without preamble. No one gets in or out without clearance. I've also moved her to a private room with restricted access. Thank you. Don't thank me. This is my fault. He crossed to the window, checked the street, then turned back to me. The woman who called you was probably Isabel Malone. Who is she? Dante's sister. And my ex-fiancé. The words hit me like cold water. You're what? It was a business arrangement. Our families were supposed to merge operations, create a stronger alliance. I was 26, she was 24. We were engaged for 8 months. His expression was unreadable. Then my father died, I took over, and I realized the Malones had been planning a coup. They wanted to absorb our organization, not merge with it. I broke the engagement. Isabel didn't take it well. How not well? She swore she'd destroy me. Everything I built, everyone I cared about, she'd take it all and make me watch. He met my eyes. She's been trying for 4 years. Unsuccessfully. Until now. What's different now? You. The single word felt like a sentence. She sees you as a weakness, Lucian continued. Someone I brought into my home, my life. She thinks threatening you will make me vulnerable. She's not entirely wrong. So what do? We prove her wrong. He stepped closer. But that requires you to trust me. Completely. Can you do that? I thought about the loneliness in his eyes. The way he'd protected Elliot when he could have killed him. The fact that he'd secured my mother's safety before even arriving here. I don't know, I said honestly. You own me. You've made my entire life dependent on your whims. You're asking me to trust the person who has all the power. That's not trust, Lucian. That's just survival. Something flickered across his face. Respect, maybe. Fair point. So let me offer you something else. Information. Leverage. Proof that I'm not what Isabel claims. What kind of proof? He pulled out his phone, opened a file and handed it to me. Financial records. Every property I own, every business, every account. You're looking at the complete map of my organization. With this you could destroy me. Turn it over to the police, to my enemies, to the media. I'd be finished in a week. I stared at the screen, then at him. Why would you give me this? Because you need to know you have power too. Because trust isn't real when only one person holds all the cards. His dark eyes were intense. I'm betting my life that you won't use it. That's trust, Iris. My throat went tight. This was insane. He was handing me the keys to his entire empire because I'd been honest about not trusting him. This is the point of no return, he said quietly. You take that phone, you're in this completely. You're not a hostage anymore. You're a partner. Someone who knows my secrets and chooses to keep them. But that also means you're a target. Isabel won't stop with threats. She'll come after you directly. And if I say no, then I'll keep you safe as best I can, but you'll always be just a piece I'm moving around the board. You'll never be an equal. He paused. And I think we both know you don't want that. He was right. I'd spent my whole life taking orders, making do, surviving in the margins. The thought of having real power, real agency, even in this twisted world, called to something deep inside me. If I do this, I said slowly, I want something else too. Name it. Elliot. I want him protected. Full security, not just threats to keep him quiet. If Isabel knows about me, she'll figure out about him eventually. Already done. He has 2 guards he doesn't know about. They've been on him since he left the warehouse. And I want to see my mother. Once a week, minimum. Arranged. Anything else. The truth. Always. Even when it's ugly. Especially when it's ugly. No more surprises. Lucian studied me for a long moment. Then he extended his hand. Deal. Took it. His grip was firm, warm. The handshake felt more binding than any contract I'd ever signed. Now what? Yes. Now we go on the offensive. Isabel made a mistake by revealing herself. She's expecting you to run or me to hide you away. Instead, we're going to make you visible. Prove you're not a weakness but a strength. How? There's an event tomorrow night. A charity gala that's really an excuse for the city's criminal elite to size each other up. Every major player will be there, including Dante and Isabel. His eyes glinted with something predatory. We're going to walk in together. Show them you're under my protection and completely unafraid. I am afraid. Then you'll learn to fake it. Welcome to my world, Iris. The rest of the evening was a blur. Hazel appeared with a designer who measured me for a gown I didn't want to think about the cost of. Vincent briefed me on the major players I'd need to recognize. And Lucian stayed close, reviewing security protocols and contingency plans with an intensity that made it clear just how dangerous tomorrow would be. Around midnight, everyone finally left. The house fell quiet. I found Lucian in his office, tie loosened, staring at documents he probably wasn't actually reading. You should sleep, he said without looking up. So should you. I don't sleep much. Why not? He finally looked at me. Because sleep requires letting your guard down. And people like me don't get to do that. I sat down across from him. Isabel really hurt you, didn't she? She betrayed me. There's a difference. Is there? His jaw tightened. She was supposed to be my partner, my equal. Instead, she was a weapon her family aimed at mine. Everything between us was a lie designed to get close enough to strike. Not everything, I said quietly. You don't carry that kind of anger from a purely business arrangement. Don't psychoanalyze me, Iris. Someone should. Your wound's so tight you're going to snap. I've been about to snap, for 4 years. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're lonely and paranoid and so convinced everyone's going to betray you that you can't see when someone's actually being honest. I leaned forward. I'm here. I'm choosing this. Not because you forced me, but because I'd rather be your partner than your prisoner. But that only works if you let me in. Why? The question was raw, unguarded. Why would you choose this? You could take that information I gave you and run. Disappear. Start over somewhere I'd never find you. Because you protected my family when you didn't have to. Because you gave me power when you could have kept it all. Because underneath the cold strategist, there's someone who remembers what it's like to be human. I held his gaze. And because I think we're more alike than either of us wants to admit. The air between us crackled with tension. Lucian stood, walked around the desk and stopped in front of me. Close enough to touch. You're playing a dangerous game, he said softly. You started it when you said I was yours. I meant as an asset. Did you? His hand came up, fingers brushing my jaw with unexpected gentleness. I don't know anymore. Then his phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He stepped back, checked it, and his expression went cold. What is it? Yes. Dante just moved on the Riverside warehouse. They're inside. He was already moving, grabbing his jacket. Vincent. Vincent appeared instantly. I heard. Teams mobilizing. No. Lucian stopped, turned back to me. Something shifted in his expression. New plan. We let them have it. Vincent's eyes widened. Boss, that's 3 million in inventory. It's also bait. We let them take it, track where it goes, and we'll find the rest of their operation. He looked at me. What did I tell you about chess versus checkers? You're sacrificing a piece to expose their strategy. Exactly. Sometimes you have to lose a battle to position yourself for winning the war. He nodded to Vincent. Pull our people back. Make it look like a security gap, not a trap. I want surveillance on every vehicle that leaves that warehouse. On it. Vincent disappeared. Lucian turned back to me. You should sleep. Tomorrow's going to be intense. Will you? Eventually. Lucian. I stood, moved closer. Whatever happens tomorrow, whatever Isabel says or does, remember something. I'm choosing to stand next to you. Not because I have to. Because I want to. For just a second, his careful control slipped. I saw vulnerability, hope, fear all flash across his face. Then the mask returned, but gentler this time. Get some rest, Iris. Tomorrow we go to war. I went upstairs, but sleep felt impossible. I'd just committed myself fully to a criminal's world. I'd chosen to stand beside a man who terrified and intrigued me in equal measure. And tomorrow, I'd face down his vengeful ex-fiancé in front of the city's most dangerous people. The smart thing would be to run. But I'd never been good at doing the smart thing. I was all in now. And somehow that felt exactly right. The gown was midnight blue, cut to make a statement. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked like someone who belonged at Lucian's side. Someone dangerous. Hazel stood behind me, putting the final touches on my hair. You look perfect. I look like I'm playing dress-up. You look like someone they'll remember. That's the point. She met my eyes in the mirror. Miss Brennan, tonight you're going to meet people who smile while planning your murder. Stay close to Mr. Thorne. Don't accept drinks from anyone else. And whatever Isabel Malone says to you, don't react. She feeds on fear. You've met her. Once. She's beautiful, charming, and absolutely ruthless. She'll try to get under your skin. Make you doubt him, doubt yourself. Don't let her. Knock on the door. Lucian's voice. Iris, we're leaving in 5 minutes. I took a breath and opened the door. Lucian stood in the hallway wearing a tailored black suit that probably cost more than my car. But it wasn't the clothes that stopped me. It was the way he looked at me when I stepped out. Like he was seeing me for the first time. You look. He trailed off. Terrified. Beautiful. The word sounded almost reluctant. Beautiful and brave. That's a dangerous combination. Learned from the best. Something warm flickered in his dark eyes. Then Vincent appeared at the top of the stairs, and Lucian's professional mask snapped back into place. Car's ready, boss. Full security detail in position. The ride to the gala was silent. Lucian reviewed something on his phone while I watched the city lights blur past. My stomach churned with nerves. Iris. His voice pulled me back. Whatever happens tonight, remember you're under my protection. No one will touch you without going through me first. And if they go through you, they won't. It wasn't arrogance. It was fact. But if you feel unsafe, if anything seems wrong, you find Vincent immediately. Understood? Yes. The car pulled up to a building that looked like it belonged in a different century. Marble columns, crystal chandeliers visible through massive windows, people in evening wear ascending the front steps like they were going to coronation. Lucian stepped out first, then offered me his hand. The moment I took it, cameras flashed. I hadn't expected cameras. Smile, he murmured. Let them see you're not afraid. Smiled. His hand at the small of my back guided me forward, possessive and protective at once. Inside was overwhelming. Hundreds of people, glittering and dangerous. Music played from somewhere. Waiters circulated with champagne and canapés. It looked like every high society event I'd ever seen in movies. Except everyone here was a criminal. Mr. Thorne. A man in his 60s approached, all polished charm. Good to see you. And who is this lovely creature? Iris Brennan. My executive assistant. Lucian's tone made it clear the title meant more than it said. Iris, this is Gregory Vaughn. He runs most of the port operations. Translation, smuggling. I shook his hand. Pleasure to meet you. The pleasure is entirely mine. His eyes assessed me like merchandise. Thorne, you always did have excellent taste. We moved through the crowd, Lucian introducing me to one dangerous person after another. I smiled, shook hands, and tried to remember who controlled what territories and which alliances were stable versus volatile. It was like learning a new language where one wrong word could get you killed. Then I saw her. Isabel Malone stood across the room in a red gown that looked painted on, holding court with a cluster of admirers. She was stunning in the way venomous creatures are stunning. Beautiful and deadly. When her eyes found mine, she smiled. She's seen us, I murmured. Good. Let her look. Lucian's hand tightened slightly on my waist. Remember, you're exactly where you choose to be. Isabel detached from her group and glided toward us. The crowd parted for her instinctively. Lucian. Her voice was honey over razors. How wonderful to see you. And you must be Iris. I've heard so much about you. Up close, she was even more intimidating. Perfect features, cold green eyes, and a smile that never reached them. Ms. Malone. Kept my voice steady. Please call me Isabel. We're practically family after all. Anyone who shares Lucian's bed is like a sister to me. The implication was clear and entirely false. I'm his assistant, I said calmly. Of course you are, darling. And I'm just here for the charity. He turned to Lucian. We should talk. Business matters. You don't mind if I steal him for a moment, do you, Iris? Actually, Lucian started. It's fine, I said. If I showed fear now, she'd won. I'll get a drink. Lucian's eyes held a warning, but I gave him a small nod. I could handle this. I watched them move to a quieter corner, Isabel's hand on Lucian's arm too familiar, too possessive. Jealousy flared in my chest, which was absurd. This was a business arrangement. I had no claim on him. Except it hadn't felt like business when he'd looked at me earlier. When he'd touched my face in his office. First time at one of these events. Turned. A young man stood beside me, maybe 30, with an easy smile that didn't quite hide the calculation in his eyes. Is it that obvious? Only because everyone else looks bored. You look fascinated and terrified. It's refreshing. He extended his hand. Dante Malone. My blood went cold, but I shook his hand. Iris Brennan. I know. My sister mentioned Lucian had acquired a new pet. His smile sharpened. That came out wrong. I meant assistant. No, you didn't. He laughed. Smart and honest. No wonder he's interested. Lucian always did appreciate a challenge. What do you want, Mr. Malone? Direct to. I like you. He glanced toward where Isabel and Lucian were talking. I want to offer you some friendly advice. My sister, she doesn't forgive. And she doesn't forget. For years she's been waiting to hurt Lucian the way he hurt her. You being here in that dress on his arm. That's blood in the water. Is that a threat? A warning? There's a difference. He leaned closer. You seem like a decent person who got caught up in something you don't fully understand. So here's the truth. Lucian Thorne destroys everyone who gets close to him. It's not intentional. Just who he is. The question is whether you'll figure that out before it's too late. And you're telling me this out of the goodness of your heart. I'm telling you this because I don't like seeing collateral damage. Whatever war is brewing between Lucian and my family, you don't deserve to be caught in the crossfire. He straightened. Think about it. When this all falls apart, and it will, you'll need somewhere safe to land. I can offer that. Then he walked away, leaving me standing alone with my heart pounding. Was he genuine? Or was this another manipulation trying to plant doubt? I scanned the room for Vincent and found him near the entrance, watching me. His slight nod was reassuring. I wasn't as alone as I felt. Lucian returned a few minutes later. His expression tight. What did Dante say to you? That you destroy everyone close to you. I watched his reaction. Is he right? We're not discussing this here. Then where? When? You promised me truth, Lucian. His jaw clenched. The truth is complicated. The truth is usually is. Before he could respond, the lights dimmed. Someone tapped a microphone at the front of the room. A man I didn't recognize began speaking about the charity the event was supposedly supporting. Lucian guided me toward the back, away from the crowd. Dante's trying to drive a wedge between us, he said quietly. Don't let him. What did Isabel want? To gloat about the warehouse. Apparently, word travels fast. His expression darkened. She also made it clear that coming after you is just the beginning. What else did she say? That I care about you more than I should. That it makes me weak. He met my eyes. She's wrong about the weak part. But she's not wrong about the rest. My breath caught. Lucian. Don't. Not here. But his hand found mine in the darkness, squeezed once. After tonight we need to talk. Really talk. The presentation ended. Applause rippled through the room. As the lights came back up, Vincent appeared at Lucian's shoulder. Boss, we have a problem. The tracker on the warehouse shipment went dark 20 minutes ago. Lucian went very still. All of them. Every single one. Someone found them and disabled them. That's not possible. Those trackers are state-of-the-art. Unless someone told them where to look. Vincent's expression was grim. The implication hung in the air like poison. Someone on the inside had betrayed them. Lucian's eyes swept the room, and I saw the walls go up. The vulnerability from moments ago vanished, replaced by cold calculation. Get the team together. I want a full audit of everyone who had access to that information. And I mean everyone. Already in progress. Good. We're leaving. Now. But as we turned toward the exit, Isabel's voice rang out across the room. Leaving so soon, Lucian. But the night is just getting interesting. She stood on the small stage where the presentation had been, microphone in hand. The room went quiet. I wanted to take a moment to congratulate an old friend on his new relationship, she continued, her smile venomous. Lucian Thorne and his beautiful assistant, Iris Brennan. Tell me, Iris, did he mention that the last woman he cared about ended up dead? Oh, you didn't know about Sophia. How tragic. She was his first attempt at going legitimate. Sweet, innocent thing much like yourself. She lasted 6 months before one of Lucian's enemies used her to send a message. The room seemed to tilt. Lucian's hand on my arm was the only thing keeping me grounded. That's enough, Isabel, he said, voice like ice. Is it though? Doesn't Iris deserve to know what happens to the women in your life? Sophia died because of you. I nearly did too. How long before history repeats itself? She turned her gaze to me. Run while you can, darling. Before you become another ghost haunting his conscience. The room erupted in murmurs. Lucian was already pulling me toward the exit, Vincent clearing a path. But Isabel's words echoed in my head. Another woman. Dead because of him. And he'd never mentioned her. We made it to the car. Lucian barked orders into his phone while I sat in numb silence. Everything was crashing down. The betrayal inside his organization. Isabel's revelation. The growing certainty that I'd walked into something far more dangerous than I'd understood. Iris. Lucian ended his call and turned to me. Whatever you're thinking. Is it true? Did someone die because of you? His silence was answer enough. Her name was Sophia, he said finally. She was a journalist. I met her when she was investigating one of my businesses. She was smart, brave, determined to expose corruption. I convinced her to work with me instead of against me. We were together for 6 months. Then the Malones found out. They kidnapped her, tortured her for information, and left her body where I'd find it. His voice was hollow. They wanted me to know that caring about someone was a weakness they could exploit. They were right. And you never thought to mention this. What was I supposed to say? By the way, the last woman I cared about was murdered because of me. But don't worry, it'll be different with you? Yes, exactly that. I deserved to know what I was walking into. You knew it was dangerous. I didn't know I was replacing a dead woman. The words came out harsher than I meant, but I was too angry to care. How many others, Lucian? How many people have gotten close to you and ended up destroyed? He looked away, and that was answer enough too. The car pulled up to the brownstone. I got out without waiting for him, stormed inside. He followed, dismissing the security with a curt gesture. Iris, stop. I whirled on him. You talk about trust, about partnership, and then you hide something like this. What else haven't you told me? I was trying to protect you. By lying to me. By not giving you more reasons to be afraid. His control finally cracked. Yes, Sophia died. Yes, it was my fault for thinking I could have something normal, something good. I learned that lesson. I swore I wouldn't make that mistake again. Then you walked into that warehouse, and everything I thought I knew became complicated. What are you saying? I'm saying Isabel is right. I care about you more than I should. More than is safe. And that terrifies me because I know how this story ends. It ends with you hurt or worse, and me living with another ghost. The rawness in his voice cut through my anger. I saw the fear behind his eyes, the genuine terror that history would repeat itself. So what do we do? I asked quietly. I don't know. He ran a hand through his hair. The smart thing is to send you away. Somewhere safe, far from me and this life. Let you go before it's too late. Is that what you want? What I want doesn't matter. Yes, it does. I stepped closer. What do you want, Lucian? He looked at me with such raw longing it stole my breath. I want to be selfish. I want to keep you here, keep you close, and damn the consequences. But I watched Sophia die because of my selfishness. I won't do that to you. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. Then again. And again. He checked it and went pale. No. What is it? Vincent. He's in the hospital. Someone ran him off the road 20 minutes ago. He was already moving toward the door. Critical condition. I'm coming with you. Iris. I'm coming. We raced to the hospital, my mind spinning. Vincent, who'd been nothing but professional and protective. Who'd been with Lucian for years. If they could get to Vincent, they could get to anyone. At the hospital, we found Hazel in the waiting room, her face streaked with tears. When she saw Lucian, she stood. He's in surgery. They're saying the next few hours are critical. Her voice broke. Lucian, it wasn't an accident. He told me before they took him back. He said to tell you the tracker leak came from inside. From someone at the gala. Who? He didn't get to finish. But he said to trust no one. She looked at me, then back at Lucian. He said, especially watch the ones closest to you. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Someone in Lucian's inner circle was a traitor. And we had no idea who. Vincent died at 4 a.m. Hazel collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Lucian stood frozen, staring at the doctor who delivered the news like he was speaking a foreign language. I watched something break inside him, watched the walls slam up even higher than before. I need to see him, Lucian said. Sir, perhaps you should. I need to see him. They let us into the room. Vincent looked smaller in death, the vitality that had defined him gone. Lucian stood beside the bed for a long moment, then did something I didn't expect. He took Vincent's hand. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. It was the most human I'd ever seen him. And it shattered me. Outside, dawn was breaking over a city that didn't care. Lucian made calls with mechanical efficiency. Funeral arrangements. Security rotations. A full investigation into Vincent's death. His voice never wavered, but his eyes were dead. Lucian, I said softly. You should rest. I'm fine. You're not fine. You just lost. I said I'm fine. The words came out sharp. Vincent knew the risks. We all do. This is the life. People die. He was your friend. I don't have friends. I have assets and liabilities. But his voice cracked on the last word. Hazel appeared, red-eyed but composed. Boss, you need to see this. She handed him a phone. Lucian's expression went from grief to fury in seconds. What is it? Asked. He turned the phone toward me. A news article already trending. Lucian Thorne's right-hand man killed in mysterious accident. Sources say internal war brewing. Isabel, Lucian said, voice cold as death. She leaked it before Vincent's body was even cold. She's making me look weak, unstable. Like I can't protect my own people. Can you? A question came from the doorway. We turned. A man I didn't recognize stood there, flanked by 2 others. He was older, maybe 50, with the bearing of someone used to command. Nathaniel, Lucian said. This isn't the time. On the contrary, this is exactly the time. Nathaniel Drake stepped into the waiting room. Vincent's death proves what I've been saying for months. Your leadership is compromised. You're distracted, making emotional decisions, and it's getting our people killed. Careful, Nathaniel. Or what? You'll do to me what you did to Vincent. Oh wait, you couldn't even protect him. Nathaniel's eyes flicked to me. This is about her, isn't it? Another woman you're putting before the organization. How did that work out last time? Lucian moved so fast I barely saw it. One moment he was standing beside me. The next he had Nathaniel against the wall, forearm across his throat. You don't talk about Sophia. You don't talk about Iris. You don't question my leadership. His voice was lethal. Are we clear? Crystal. Nathaniel didn't look afraid. But others are questioning it too. The council wants a meeting. Tonight. And they want answers about why you're putting a civilian in the middle of our operations. Lucian released him. Fine. Set it up. Nathaniel straightened his jacket. 8 o'clock. Come alone. He glanced at me again. And maybe consider whether she's worth what she's costing you. He left. Lucian stood rigid, hands clenched into fists. Who was that? Asked. Nathaniel Drake. My father's oldest advisor and the head of our council. He's been waiting for me to fail since the day I took over. Lucian turned to me. And he's right. Vincent died because I was distracted. Because I was too focused on protecting you to see the knife coming from somewhere else. You can't know that. Yes, I can. Vincent told me something was wrong at the gala. Told me someone was acting suspicious. I was too busy managing Isabel and keeping you safe to listen. His voice was hollow. He died because of my choices. Just like Sophia. Just like everyone who gets close to me. Lucian. I need you to go. The words hit like a physical blow. What? Leave. Tonight. I'll have Hazel arrange transportation somewhere safe. Give you enough money to start over. But you can't be here anymore. He wouldn't look at me. This was a mistake. All of it. You're pushing me away because you're scared. I'm pushing you away because Vincent is dead. The words exploded out of him. Because Nathaniel is right. Because every minute you're near me puts a target on your back. Isabel won't stop. Dante won't stop. And the next time it might not be Vincent bleeding out. It might be you. So you're just giving up. I'm being realistic. This world doesn't allow for weakness, and you're mine. The moment I admitted I cared about you, I signed your death warrant. He finally met my eyes. I won't watch another person I care about die because of me. I won't. You don't get to make this decision alone. Yes, I do. You're in my world now, remember? My rules. But there was no conviction in his voice. Only exhaustion and grief. Then I'll make it easy for you. I pulled out my phone, opened the file he'd given me with all his financial records. You want me gone. Fine. But I'm taking this with me. Insurance, like you said. Something flickered in his eyes. Betrayal, maybe. You wouldn't. Wouldn't I? You don't trust me anyway. You don't trust anyone. So what difference does it make? Iris, don't do this. You first. I held his gaze. Tell me you trust me. Tell me this isn't just you running scared. Tell me I'm more than another ghost waiting to happen. The silence stretched between us, infinite and devastating. I can't, he whispered. It was the honesty I'd asked for. And it destroyed me. Then we're done. I turned away before he could see the tears. Have Hazel bring my things to wherever I'm going. I'll be in the car. I walked out of that hospital with my heart breaking and my pride intact. Behind me I heard Hazel say something to Lucian, heard his rough response. I didn't look back. In the car alone I finally let myself cry. For Vincent, who'd been kind in his gruff way. For Sophia, who'd died for the crime of caring. For Lucian, trapped in a prison of his own making. And for myself, for being stupid enough to think I could matter to a man who'd forgotten how to let anyone in. My phone rang. Elliot. Iris. Where are you? I've been trying to call you all night. There are weird guys following me, and I saw the news about some guy dying and... Elliot, slow down. You're okay. Yeah, but what's going on? This is about that night, isn't it? About the briefcase guy. Closed my eyes. It's complicated. Complicated like you're in danger complicated. 'Cause I can come get you. We can leave town, go stay with Mom's cousin in. No. I couldn't put him at risk too. No, stay where you are. The security is for your protection. Just trust me, okay? I don't like this, Iris. I know. I don't either. The car started moving. I had no idea where it was taking me. I have to go. I'll call you soon. I love you. Love you too. Be careful. I hung up and stared out the window as the city blurred past. Somewhere behind me was Lucian, grieving and pushing away the one person who'd tried to understand him. Somewhere ahead was an uncertain future, running from a world I'd barely begun to understand. The car pulled up to a building I didn't recognize. Upscale, secure, anonymous. Hazel was already there, bags in hand. Penthouse apartment, she said quietly. Fully stocked, full security. Mr. Thorne's orders. How is he? Devastated. Furious. Blaming himself for everything. She handed me a key. For what it's worth, Miss Brennan, I've never seen him care about anyone the way he cares about you. He's just too broken to know what to do with it. That's not my problem to fix, Hazel. Isn't it? You're the first person in 4 years who's made him remember what it's like to be human. To hope. She met my eyes. Vincent told me once that Lucian was drowning in that life. That he needed someone to remind him why survival was worth it. I think that person was you. Vincent is dead because I was a distraction. Vincent is dead because this is a dangerous world. But he also died knowing his boss had found something worth protecting beyond power and territory. That meant something to him. She turned to leave. The choice is yours, Miss Brennan. Stay hidden and safe. Or fight for something that might actually matter. She left me standing in an empty apartment that cost more per month than I used to make in a year. I walked to the window and looked out at the city. Somewhere out there, Lucian was preparing for a meeting that could cost him everything. Somewhere out there, Isabel was celebrating her victories. And somewhere out there a traitor walked free. I thought about running. About taking Lucian's money and disappearing into a normal life. But Hazel's words echoed in my mind. Vincent had died knowing his boss had something worth fighting for. The question was whether I had the courage to be that thing. I pulled out my phone and opened the file with Lucian's financial records. Studied them for the first time, really looked at what he'd given me. And I saw something that made my blood run cold. A pattern in the transactions. Money moving through accounts in a sequence that didn't make sense unless you were looking for it. Small amounts easily missed. All flowing to a single offshore account. Someone had been embezzling from Lucian for months. And the person who had access to move money this way, who had the authority and the knowledge. I pulled up another file, cross-referenced dates and locations. Well, it couldn't be. But the evidence was there, damning and clear. I knew who the traitor was. And I knew Lucian was walking into a meeting tonight with no idea he was surrounded by enemies. I grabbed my phone and called him. It went to voicemail. Lucian, it's me. Don't go to that meeting. It's a trap. Nathaniel is the traitor. He's been embezzling from you for months. And the money trail leads straight to the Malones. He's working with Isabel. You need to. The line went dead. I tried again. Nothing. My hands shook as I called Hazel. Where's the council meeting? Miss Brennan, you shouldn't. Where, Hazel? She gave me an address. But Mr. Thorne said you were to stay away. I hung up and ran for the door. The man I loved was walking into an ambush. And I was the only one who could warn him. The address Hazel gave me led to a warehouse district that looked abandoned. Of course it did. Men like Lucian conducted their most dangerous business in places the world forgot. I had the driver drop me 2 blocks away. My evening gown was ridiculous for this, the heels even more so, but I didn't have time to change. Every minute that passed was a minute Lucian was in danger. I could see lights in one of the buildings ahead. 2 guards stood outside and my heart sank. There was no way I was getting past them. Then a car pulled up. Hazel stepped out. I figured you'd do something reckless, she said. Come on. I can get us inside. How? I've worked for these people for 3 years. They're used to seeing me. She straightened her jacket. Stay behind me and look like you belong. We approached the guards. Hazel nodded to them. Evening, Marcus. Johnny. I have documents Mr. Thorne requested. They barely glanced at us before opening the door. We were inside. The warehouse had been converted into a meeting space. A single long table dominated the center, surrounded by chairs. And sitting in those chairs were a dozen men I recognized from the gala, all part of Lucian's organization, all supposedly loyal. Lucian sat at the head of the table, Nathaniel to his right. The body language was all wrong. Lucian looked isolated, surrounded. The question, Nathaniel was saying, is whether you're still capable of leading this organization. Vincent's death proves you've become a liability. Vincent's death proves we have a traitor, Lucian countered. His voice was steady, but I could see the exhaustion in his eyes. Someone leaked information about the trackers. Someone wanted him dead. Or someone wanted you distracted. Another man spoke up. You've been different since you brought that girl into your life. Unfocused. Weak. Careful, Robert. It's true though, isn't it? Nathaniel leaned forward. You put her safety above the organization. Above all of us. That's not leadership. That's liability. This council exists to advise, not to question my authority. This council exists to ensure the organization survives. Even if that means replacing leadership that's become compromised. Nathaniel's voice hardened. I'm calling for a vote. Those in favor of Lucian Thorne stepping down as head of this organization. Hands started to rise. 1, then 2, then 5. More than half the council. Lucian's expression went cold. I see. And who would replace me? You, Nathaniel. If necessary. Someone needs to restore order. And your first act would be what? Alliance with the Malones. The room went silent. Nathaniel's face remained neutral, but something flickered in his eyes. I don't know what you're implying, he said carefully. Don't you? I stepped out from where Hazel and I had been hidden in the shadows. Every eye turned to me. Because the financial records tell an interesting story. Lucian stood. Iris, what are you doing here? Saving your life. I pulled out my phone, connected it to the projection screen on the wall. You gave me access to everything, remember? So I looked, really looked. And I found a pattern. The financial records appeared on screen. I'd marked the relevant transactions in red. Small amounts. Easy to miss in an organization this size. But consistent, systematic. All flowing to an offshore account registered to a shell corporation. I advanced to the next slide. That shell corporation is owned by Isabel Malone. Murmurs rippled through the room. Nathaniel's expression remained calm. That's absurd. Anyone could have. Only 3 people had access to move money through these specific accounts, I interrupted. Lucian, Vincent, and you, Nathaniel. Vincent is dead. Lucian certainly wasn't embezzling from himself. That leaves you. This is ridiculous. You're a civilian with no understanding of how. I also pulled phone records. Another slide. Calls between your personal cell and a number registered to Dante Malone. Dozens of them over the past 6 months. Including one made 20 minutes before Vincent's accident. The room exploded. Men shouting, chairs scraping back. Nathaniel stood slowly. His calm facade finally cracking. You stupid girl. You have no idea what you've done. I've exposed you. I looked at Lucian. He's been planning this for months. The warehouse raid, Vincent's death, this meeting tonight. All designed to isolate you, make you look weak, and position himself to take over. Then he was going to sell the entire organization to the Malones. Lucian's eyes were on Nathaniel, cold as winter. Is it true? Your father would be ashamed of what you've become, Nathaniel said instead of answering. Soft, sentimental. He built this empire through strength, and you're destroying it with weakness. My father, Lucian said quietly, was poisoned by his most trusted advisor, a man he considered family. Tell me, Nathaniel, did you help plan that too? The silence was deafening. Your father was going to make peace with our rivals, Nathaniel said. Going to legitimize the business, go clean. It would have destroyed everything we built. Yes, I helped remove him. And I've been waiting 4 years for you to show the same weakness. The moment you brought that journalist into your bed, I knew you would. He smiled without humor. History does repeat itself, doesn't it? Lucian moved so fast that Nathaniel didn't have time to react. One moment he was sitting, the next he had Nathaniel's arm twisted behind his back, gun to his head. You killed my father. I saved this organization. You murdered him and let me think it was the Malones. Let me go to war with them. Let people die. Lucian's voice shook with rage. Give me one reason I shouldn't end you right now. Because you're not your father. You're weaker. More merciful. It's what makes you unfit to lead. You're wrong. Lucian pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed in the warehouse. Nathaniel crumpled. The room erupted into chaos. But Lucian just stood there, gun lowering, staring at what he'd done. And I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Freedom. Anyone else want to question my leadership? His voice cut through the noise. The room went silent. Nathaniel was a traitor. He killed my father, he killed Vincent, and he was planning to sell all of you to our enemies. Iris exposed him. She saved this organization. And if any of you have a problem with her being in my life, you can join him. No one moved. Good. Robert, you're my new second. Clean this up and double security on all our operations. The Malones are going to retaliate when they realize their inside man is dead. He holstered the gun. Meeting adjourned. The men filed out quickly. Soon it was just Lucian, Hazel, and me. You came back, Lucian said. I told you to stay away. Since when do I follow your orders? Something that might have been a smile ghosted across his face. Then he crossed to me in 3 strides and pulled me into his arms. You could have been killed, he said into my hair. If you'd been wrong, if Nathaniel had moved first. But I wasn't wrong. And he didn't. I pulled back to look at him. You needed me. So I came. That's what partners do. Partners. He cupped my face in his hands. Is that what we are? I don't know. What do you want us to be? For a long moment he just looked at me. Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, grateful, fierce. It was a man who'd spent 4 years convinced he couldn't have anything real, finally letting himself hope. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. I want you to stay, he said. Not because I own you. Not because of a deal. 'Cause I choose you and you choose me. But I need you to understand what that means. This life, it's dangerous. There will always be enemies. Always be risks. I can protect you, but I can't guarantee your safety. I don't need guarantees. I need honesty. Partnership. Trust. I met his eyes. Can you give me that? I can try. He rested his forehead against mine. You were right. I've been dying slowly, trading everything human for survival. But you make me remember why survival matters. Why life is worth more than just existing. Lucian Thorne, are you getting sentimental on me? Don't get used to it. But he was smiling. Really smiling. And it transformed his entire face. Hazel cleared her throat. Hate to interrupt, but we should move. The Malones will have heard about Nathaniel by now. Let them hear. Lucian's arms stayed around me. Let them know we found their spy. Let them know we're ready for whatever comes next. Boss, Isabel is not going to take this well. I'm counting on it. She's been operating in shadows, using proxies. Now she'll have to come at me directly. And when she does, I'll be ready. We left the warehouse together. Outside, dawn was breaking for the second time in 24 hours. I'd lost track of time entirely. In the car, Lucian made calls while I leaned against him, exhausted. The adrenaline was fading, leaving me hollow. What happens now? I asked when he finished. Now we rebuild. Find out who else might have been compromised. Shore up defenses. Prepare for the Malones' response. He looked at me. And you start learning this business properly. If you're going to be my partner, you need to understand all of it. The good and the ugly. Mostly ugly, I'm guessing. You'd be surprised. Some of our operations are actually legitimate. His tone was dry. Not many, but some. What about my mother? Elliot. Full protection continues. In fact, I'm moving your mother to a private facility with better care. No arguments, he added when I opened my mouth. Consider it a signing bonus. For what? For saving my life. For seeing what everyone else missed. For choosing to come back when I was stupid enough to push you away. He pressed a kiss to my temple. For being brave enough to love a man who forgot how to love himself. I never said I loved you. You didn't have to. You showed up. He was right. I had. And somewhere in the past 48 hours, I'd fallen completely for this complicated, dangerous, damaged man. This isn't going to be easy, I warned. Nothing worth having ever is. We pulled up to the brownstone. Lucian helped me out and we walked to the door together. The same door I'd entered 2 nights ago as his hostage. Now I was entering as his partner. His equal. His choice. Inside he pulled me close again. Get some sleep. We both need it. Tomorrow the real work begins. Tomorrow we face whatever comes together. Together, he agreed. I like the sound of that. I went upstairs, exhausted and exhilarated. Through the window, I could see the city waking up. Somewhere out there, Isabel was planning her revenge. Somewhere out there, new threats were forming. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I'd walked into Lucian Thorne's world expecting a monster. Instead, I'd found a man. Flawed, dangerous, but capable of change. Capable of trust. Capable of love. My phone buzzed. A text from Elliot. "Whatever you're doing, be careful. Love you, sis." I smiled and typed back. "Always. Love you too." Then one from an unknown number. "This isn't over. You took something that was mine. I'll take everything you love. Isabel. Course." I forwarded it to Lucian with a simple message. "She's going to make a move soon." His response came immediately. "Let her try. We'll be ready." I set the phone aside and looked at myself in the mirror. The woman staring back wasn't the same one who'd walked into that warehouse 3 days ago. That woman had been surviving, getting by, making do. This woman was fighting, choosing, living. The Mafia boss had said I was his. But the truth was more complicated. We were each other's. And whatever came next, we'd face it together. Outside my window, the sun climbed higher. New day. A new beginning. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning. But for the first time in a long time, I was ready for whatever came next.